Okay, where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Blake? What? Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron done messed up and forgot to bring himself on screen. Here I am, everyone. Ron is right here. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day's a great day not to be in a cult. Another Scientology attorney bites the dust. David Miscavige is most certainly celebrating. How this information became known is very interesting because this guy's been dead for over a year and no one's known about it. We're talking about Scientology attorney Elliot Abelson. Elliot Abelson is a notorious Scientology attorney. He's one of the Scientology attorneys who is not himself a Scientologist. He's a hired gun. He's hired to do the dirty work. He's hired to act as a cutout between Scientology operatives who are doing bad things and the Church of Scientology. Mike Rinder explained this, addressed Elliot Abelson. In fact, said he was the one who hired Elliot Abelson. I'm going to show you a few of Mike's words about that. But this is super, super interesting. There's been a lot of renewed interest in Elliot Abelson recently, which is how the information came to light that Elliot's actually dead. And one of the reasons interest in Elliot Abelson has increased recently is because it has become known for the first time by going through the thousands and thousands of pages in Danny Masterson's criminal appeal that it turns out Elliot Abelson actually represented notorious Scientology Sea Org member and public ethics officer at Scientology's advanced organization in Los Angeles, Julian Schwartz. I have never heard of a low-level Sea Org member being lawyered up like this. Elliot Abelson represented Julian Schwartz when the LAPD contacted Julian Schwartz as a part of the investigation into Danny Masterson's rapes way back in, I want to say 2004 is when the police tried to contact Julian. I always run the risk of getting some of these dates wrong. I'm going to talk about these dates because I'm not excellent with dates. But this is interesting because Julian Schwartz himself would have been a mandated reporter for sexual crimes. And not only has Julian Schwartz notoriously covered up sexual assaults, probably hundreds of them, but now we know that Scientology attorney Elliot Abelson actually contacted the LAPD on behalf of Julian Schwartz and say, I am representing Julian Schwartz and he will not be returning your phone calls because all of his information is protected by priest penitent privilege, even though Julian Schwartz is not a Scientology auditor. He is not a Scientology minister. He's not a priest. He was an ethics officer. And in Scientology, information that the ethics officer deals with is not even protected by priest penitent privilege, not even in Scientology. Not even in Scientology. Once you get turned over to the ethics officer in Scientology, everything you say has already been used against you and everything you say will continue to be used against you. There's no priest penitent privilege, even in Scientology, when it comes to the ethics officer. Okay. So that is one reason interest in Elliot Abelson has ignited. There's another reason. I was contacted by a journalist recently. When it comes to Elliot Abelson, I've been contacted by more than one journalist. But for this story, one particular journalist who was investigating for a story they were writing about a grand jury that had been convened to investigate Scientology crimes. Now, we've heard mention of a grand jury. I've done videos mentioning a grand jury. You never know who's being called to testify in front of a grand jury, really, and all the proceedings are highly confidential. Unfortunately, the person who had been running the grand jury was Deputy District Attorney Reinhold Mueller, who successfully prosecuted Danny Masterson and sent him to prison. But Reinhold Mueller recently retired. So that brings into question, well, what is the future of the grand jury investigation that Reinhold Mueller was spearheading? How does that work? Do they just replace him? Like, I don't personally know how it works. And I don't have any inside scoop into what's happening with that grand jury investigation. But it turns out, whether it was Reinhold Mueller's grand jury investigation or whether it was another one, it seems that some journalist has gotten their hands on the transcripts of a grand jury grand jury testimony that was given by Elliot Abelson. Now, this was news to me. No one knows what Elliot testified to, but this journalist, in trying to follow up on some of the things Elliot Abelson said in his grand jury testimony, called Elliot Abelson's law office, and the phone was answered by a woman with, some sort of British sounding accent who just answered the phone. Law offices. This person recorded the phone call and played it for me. Law offices, not law offices of Elliot Abelson, not a voicemail saying, I'm sorry, you've reached the law offices of Elliot Abelson. We're no longer in business. Live person answered the phone. Law offices. The journalist proceeded to ask to speak with Elliot Abelson. The receptionist, for a good 5 to 10 minutes, declined to say, the person you're requesting to speak with is dead. The receptionist was like, hold, please. Let me see if I can find him. Oh my God. It's hard to tell the story without cracking up. Okay. The journalist explains to the receptionist who they're calling for and why. Once the receptionist realizes they're speaking to a journalist, they say, oh, I'm sorry. All media requests have to be left with Scientology Media Productions. What? This is supposed to be Elliot Abelson's law office. The receptionist has still not said Elliot Abelson is dead. Okay. The journalist goes, I'm sorry, Scientology Media Productions, what are you talking about? I'm calling for Elliot Abelson. And she goes, okay, let me put you through. It puts it right to the voicemail of Scientology Media Productions, which is the multimedia, what do you call it? It's the old KCET studios in Hollywood. It's basically Scientology bought an old TV studio so that they could, for tens of millions of dollars, do what anyone on YouTube can do for a few $100, which is create content for the internet and for their website. And Scientology Media Productions, it's where they create all of Scientology's fancy videos. It's where they shoot their TV shows. It's where they shoot their professional podcasts. It's also where they shoot the videos, the hate videos about ex-Scientologists like myself. Okay, the journalist calls back. Thank you for putting me through to that voicemail. Let me be clear. I am not calling for the Church of Scientology. I'm not going to leave a message for the Church of Scientology. Am I to understand that you work for the Church of Scientology? Are you a Scientologist? Am I calling the Church of Scientology? Why is the Church of Scientology answering the phone at Elliot Abelson's law office? I don't understand what's happening. But if this is I'm not leaving a message for Scientology. I want to speak to Elliot Abelson or his secretary or anybody else there. And she goes, okay, I'm going to get this taken care of for you. Hold, please. And then she puts the journalist through to the one and only famous Scientology attorney, Kendrick Moxon. The same Kendrick Moxon whose daughter worked for David Miscavige at Scientology's international base and whose life and existence was so miserable there that she took her own life at the international base of Scientology near out in Gilman, Hot Springs, California. That man still works as an attorney for Scientology. And he himself, Kendrick Moxon, is a Scientologist. So Kendrick Moxon gets on the phone with this journalist and again continues to say, how can I help you? And the journalist thinking, well, hello, Mr. Abelson? Because he didn't even identify himself. Kendrick Moxon got on the phone, didn't even identify himself. Hello, how can I help you? Journalist goes, Mr. Abelson. No, this is Kendrick Moxon. He goes, okay, I'm calling for Mr. Elliot Abelson. Kendrick goes, oh, well, he died. He died actually a year ago. How does nobody know that Scientology's most notorious, famous, visible attorney, died a year ago. Why is Scientology? And by the way, it turns out the phone number to Elliot Abelson's law practice rings at the reception desk for Scientology's Office of Special Affairs International at their middle management building on Hollywood Boulevard and Ivar. That's right. When you call the law offices of Elliot Abelson, your phone rings through to a Scientology Sea Org member, most certainly on a recorded line. And so the journalist is like, "Oh gosh, he passed. I'm so sorry to hear that." And instead of saying something normal, like, "That's very kind of you. I'll, pass your sympathies on to his wife," Kendra goes, "Happens to all of us. What can I help you with?" I'm not kidding, you guys. I'm not kidding. It's like, happens to all of us. Okay. Let me tell you, actually, before I continue any longer, let me show you a quick 2-minute clip of who Elliot Abelson is and what some of the stuff that he was used for. Because when I was routing out of the Sea Organization, that's the one and only time that I met Mr. Elliot Abelson in a locked, small, concrete block-lined room deep in the corridors of Scientology's security offices on L. Ron Hubbard Way with cameras running, giving me a little interview telling me how I love Scientology. I love David Miscavige. I'm leaving the Sea Org because I cannot uphold the ethical standards. And he had me sign some forms on camera. This is one of the things Elliot Abelson was used for. And one of the people he also famously did this for was one of Scientology's most famous senior or former high-level managers, Debbie Cook. Let's just have a little bit of fun watching this 2-minute video.
It is
She's literally one of the most famous Scientology managers. He doesn't even know her name.
October 19th, 2007. We're in Clearwater, Florida. My name's Elliot Abelson. You are Debbie Kane. Cook, rather. That's a good start.
Yeah.
We try to get a little humor in here because we're taping, as you know, in showbiz time. We're here in a serious matter, We're here to formalize the signing of an agreement and general release between Debbie Cook and Church of Scientology FSO, and also covered in this agreement is CSI, Church of Scientology International, and RTC. Now, what's happening is that you are leaving the Sea Organization. Is that right?
That's right.
How many years have you been a member of the Sea Organization?
28 years.
And you're doing this voluntarily?
I am.
No one has made any threats or forced you to do anything?
Not at all whatsoever.
Have you had a good 28 years in the Sea Organization?
I've had a very, very good 28 years.
Very interesting, hasn't it been?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what position you've held in FSO?
Sure. I was the head of FSO, the captain of FSO for 17 years. And
That was the highest position?
She's literally about to break down crying right here in the freaking exit interview.
Was that a position of heavy responsibility? And is there part of you that's going to miss that?
Mhm.
Of course. Do you have a medical condition that has made it difficult for you to perform up to your expectations?
Mhm.
And how long has that been going on?
Spoiler alert. She might have had some medical condition. It had absolutely nothing to do with why she left the Sea Org.
for about 8 years.
Has FSO, the church?
Okay, there you go. This is just an excerpt. This is just an excerpt I found online of a much longer video. I had a very similar interview with Elliot Abelson on my way out, but it was definitely not in the same location as I left in 2006. I can see this interview was in 2007. I believe Debbie Cook left from Clearwater, so I guess they're just flying Elliot Abelson all over the place. by the way, it looks like it wasn't necessarily a sudden death either. And the reason why I say that is because when you look up his bar record, if Kendrick Moxon is to be believed, and Elliot passed away sometime in 2024, it looks like Elliot surrendered his law license in 2022. How about that? So whatever was going on there. And also, let's remind everyone what Mike Rinder had to say about Elliot Abelson. Let's take a look at this.
Elliot Abelson's a nobody. I hired Elliot Abelson. He doesn't have any authority to do anything, anywhere, anyhow, at any time with anybody. He's a name. He is a name that can be used and a buffer. If anything really drastic goes wrong, then there is a buffer there between the private investigator and the church. But the truth of the matter is, LeBlanc reports to people in OSA, if not to Warren McShane. He would not report directly to Miscavige because Miscavige will always have a cutout between him and someone like LeBlanc, who's out there very overtly in the public eye. Elliot Abelson's a nobody.
Okay, so there you go. Elliot Abelson is a nobody. He's just there to serve as a buffer between the unscrupulous private investigators that work for Scientology and Scientology itself. But Elliot Abelson actually reports directly to the Office of Special Affairs. Mike Rinder knows this because he was the head of the Office of Special Affairs. So what's interesting to me is that it was very evident from the phone call between the journalist and Kendrick Moxon that Scientology did not know that Elliot Abelson had reportedly and apparently testified in front of a grand jury as to Scientology crimes. They did not know. And in this conversation, Kendrick asked the journalist, well, since the proceedings are public, well, what did they say? And the journalist said, well, actually, the proceedings are not public. We just managed to get a copy. And I guess, I don't know, maybe that's how it goes with journalists. If someone can sneak you something you're not allowed to have, it's okay. Maybe the crime was illegally sharing the transcript, but it's not a crime to possess it. It's not a crime to write a story on it. So Scientology's butts must be pretty puckered up right now, finding out that it at least seems that their number one go-to attorney, who's been working for them since the early 90s, testified in front of a grand jury as to Scientology crimes and never told them about it. Ruh-roh. And so when we look at, well, if he really did testify in front of a grand jury, what is it he may have testified to? And you have, what if he testified to exactly what Mike Rinder said? I'm just a name. I'm a nobody. Mike Rinder hired me. My only function is to serve as a cutout, as a buffer between the operatives who are working for Scientology and Scientology itself. When the police come calling or, the lawsuits start flying, everyone who's working for OSA just says that they're working for me. And then we can pretend that, their entire activities is attorney-client privileged work product. That sounds like the perfect type of testimony to put together a RICO case against Scientology. I mean, of course, we don't know what he testified to, but imagine if all he testified to is what Mike Rinder just said. I'm just a nobody. I only exist as a part of the charade that Scientology puts on, that they're removed from all the stuff that happens over here. That would be incredible. And, if there's anything else he may have testified to, well, how about the stuff we know he was involved in? Elliot Abelson was personally involved in covering up Danny Masterson's rapes and obstructing the LAPD investigation into those rapes. Elliot Abelson, we now know from Mike Rinder's files, which have now become public, that Elliot Abelson was personally involved in covering up the rapes of Scientologist James Barber. Elliot Abelson, I believe, was also involved in covering up all of the child SA that was committed by Scientologists at Bridget's daycare in Los Angeles. It seems like Elliot Abelson was the go-to attorney that Scientology would use to cover up sexual assaults. And if we are to believe that he testified in front of a grand jury and that he never told Scientology about it, well, I guess we don't know if that's true or not true, but you have to wonder what kind of a bad day David Miscavige and the higher ups in the Office of Special Affairs are having when they found out that it at least might be true. Wow. Okay, let's see. Was there anything else that I wanted to hit on this subject? No. That's right. Oh, so and so everything we've discussed here is also why I can guarantee you, whenever David Miscavige found out Elliot Abelson dropped dead, David Miscavige almost certainly held a party in celebration, not a celebration of life, a celebration of death, just like he did when L. Ron Hubbard died, and just like he did when his own mother died. Was the story? Who is it that told the story? It was either when his mother died or when his wife's mother killed herself. Miscavige celebrated, not the life, but the death. So there you go. Another Scientology attorney bites the dust. David Miscavige is thanking Jesus that one more person who has a lot of beans to spill never got a chance to spill the beans. Or did he? Did he spill the beans to the grand jury? I don't know if we'll ever find out, but there's at least a chance that he did. Okay, guys, that's it for now. I might squeeze in some more videos today. We'll see. I'm not totally sure, but either way, thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe